Hey, what's up you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you my review of the final season of Banshee. Excuse me. It's been a long and very prosperous road for me with this show. Long in one way, short in another, because I feel like just with how immersed I got with the show. It feels like it's been a while, but then I realize it's only been, 4 seasons, or 3 seasons, and fourth slightly shorter season. And there's not going to be another show that I watch that's going to be like this. I'm starting to watch another one now, but I just miss Banshee. Go back and watch my reviews of the other 3 seasons if you want to hear my thoughts on those. But of course, I really got into Banshee. I ended up loving it. I'll admit it's one of my all-time favorites now. Easily within my top 10, maybe even very close to my top 5, actually. I even put it right up there with shows like Breaking Bad and Dexter and stuff like that. Just a very good show, I'll get more into some of the details of the final season in a minute or two here, but just all around, overall, throughout the series, it had the violence, it had some of the most brutal and awesome, fight scenes I've seen in any show or movie, but then it had really, really nice character-driven moments and a really engaging plot. One of the most engaging main stories and sort of pacing I've seen in a show in quite some time. It really just kept my attention all the way through. Really good central acting performances too, from Antony Starr, who I actually got lucky enough to get noticed by on Twitter. I know anyone can do that. It's sort of just like the luck of the draw kind of thing. But it was still cool because I tweeted about the final season, how much I liked it and thought it was brilliant and everything. And then he actually liked the tweet, so that was awesome. I geeked out. I know anyone can kind of get lucky and have them notice your message, but still, it was awesome. I also got a tweet noticed by Ivana before, Carrie or Anna, so yeah, that was cool as well. Just such a awesome show, all the way through. I'd still say season 3 was probably my favorite. Then I think I have to go back and watch the first and second one again, which I probably will when I make my girlfriend watch it or something. But as far as season 4 goes, the final season of the show, it was pretty good. Don't confuse my hesitation for negativity or disappointment or anything. Okay, they just sort of took a different approach to things than what I was expecting. I've been saying, since I watched the first couple episodes of the final season, that just sort of, it felt more low-key than what I was expecting. And, excuse me, I'm just going to grab a drink real quick. It just took a more low-key approach on what I was expecting. Because, a lot of Banshee stuff, I don't know if I want to say it tended to go more over the top, but in a way, with your experience on the show, you're expecting it to kind of go more balls out, action, just all guns are blazing for the final season. But no, it really doesn't do that. And at first, it's I kind of wanted to see more go down in this final season. But once I got into it, once I watched the first episode and the 2, 3, 4, etc., the more I got to appreciate sort of their approach to it. Yeah. I know they probably didn't have a big budget for this last season. I know there were some financial issues with it. But I really still appreciated the way they went about it, actually, with Hood putting himself in seclusion and everything after, what happened with Job, and he's still very mentally, affected by what happened with Siobhan. I just thought all that was really done well. We get that, really big beard, and, when Brock finds Hood in the cabin and everything, it's cool. So we really get the feeling, very early on in the season, that it's the end. Just the show just kind of had a slightly different tone this season. It felt more empty, a little bit more hollow throughout, something was coming to a close, and I really like how they made that a factor. Excuse me. By the way, it's not your father's root beer. It's not bad stuff. I'm not a big fan of beer, but it's a little bit it tastes a little bit better than beer. Anyway, like one of the main points of this season, besides Hood's self isolation or self exile, you could say, Hood's been up in the mountain, or at least somewhere in like the forest area, in this cabin for almost 2 years now. Just carrying a lot of guilt with him over Job, like still this Siobhan stuff. But besides that, the main point of it is the murder of Rebecca Bowman, obviously, which was a pretty surprising plot point to me. I wasn't actually expecting her to. I thought she could have been like a casualty of Proctor sometime or something involved with that, but I didn't expect it just to start off with her dead already. So I was a little bit surprised by that. And so another big plot point of the season is her murder, trying to figure out that case, because there appears to be like a string of murders, with the person's heart ripped out and everything like that. So part of it is Hood being looked into, for her murder, because she had gone and seen him a couple times when he was staying up there, because it was on Proctor's property and everything, and they had helped each other out, and they sort of formed like a deeper bond and a deeper connection. I will admit that I didn't really like the Rebecca and Hood pairing that much. I think I almost would have liked it a little bit better if it was just about Hood being up there by himself and thinking about Siobhan and stuff like that and feeling guilty about Job. But I did like the flashbacks. I thought I appreciate the effort they put into it anyway. And again, I'm not going to be able to go in depth about like everything in the season, but the whole plot, with the serial killer and everything, it was all right. I think they probably did spend a little bit too much time on it, perhaps. Because spoilers, there's spoilers in the title. I'm talking about the final season, so what do you expect? But the whole Satanist cult, that they end up looking into, and I forget the guy's name, but he has like these horn like implant type things on his head. He worships the devil, believes he's doing his work. I do think they spent a little bit too much time on that. I feel like they could have been doing something else in the story instead of this. It didn't really feel 100% necessary to go into like a random kind of side threat like this. But I didn't dislike it, and we actually got a pretty cool character out of it. I really liked the new FBI agent, Dawson, that came into town. Let me see if I can get the actress's name real quick, but she's been in a lot of stuff. Let me just see real quick. Yeah, Eliza Dushku. She's known for quite a bit. She was in Buffy for some time, I think. As well as Angel, and she starred in 2 Fox series, called True Calling and Dollhouse. I'm actually kind of curious to see Dollhouse at some point, I think. But I actually really liked her on this. I thought her kind of chemistry and banter with Hood was pretty good. Her character almost reminded me, Vanessa Dawson is her name, but her character almost reminded me of like a Jessica Jones type, She kind of had that attitude and sort of strength about her, but then she has a darker, backstory they touched on a little bit, or at least grimmer backstory sort of. So I found her to actually be pretty interesting and entertaining to watch. I'm just kind of curious. Okay, so the final season started in 2016, and when did Jessica Jones come out? Let me just look at this real quick. Okay, just oh damn it! Hold on a second, guys. Yeah, okay, so Jessica Jones, the Netflix series that came out in 2015. So I almost wonder if they were influenced a little bit, by watching that or something, but either way, I still thought, like, that kind of character that Dawson worked for the show. So the time spent with her over this case, I thought it made it a little bit more entertaining than it would have been. And again, how much Hood cared about due to the murder of Rebecca. I appreciate the flashbacks and everything, but I didn't necessarily buy that he cared like that much for her. So I think they kind of spent a little bit too much time with that, as I said. But it wasn't like torture to go through or anything like that. I just thought kind of paled in comparison to like the main point of the season or what they could have done. Along with that, you had like Brock running the sheriff's department, which is cool. Proctor's mayor now, which is like a great and awful setup at the same time. He has this new like ear in the police department. this woman named Cruz. Meanwhile, Anna, she's gone and has this whole house property of her own. I think it's like 25 acres or something. And Job, meanwhile, is being held by this unknown, group, kinda, and we see some shots of, some scenes of him being tortured and everything. It was just really well done with that, too. And my favorite part of that was definitely the Hood stuff and him coming back and, just the guild of, not finding Job and everything I thought was pretty good. And then I also loved when they brought Deva back into it, too. Excuse me. It put her in danger. But again, I just like all the little pieces and the character interactions they put throughout this whole season that made you feel like they're trying to wrap things up, but in some really respectful ways for both the characters and the fans. And of course, we eventually. Throughout the season, it's still kind of questioned who Rebecca's killer was. Yeah, they eventually look into the Satanist guy, but I thought that it was Burton, and it turned out to be Burton. Because the motivation was kind of clear. Rebecca was kind of a loose cannon for Proctor's business at some point once he started bringing her in closer to it. So I almost kind of thought that maybe Proctor had ordered Burton to, and he was kind of feeling guilty about it or remorse. Because, Proctor's far from a one-note villain, and I could see him ordering Rebecca killed and him still, kind of feeling, off about it, which is why he would still be seeing her. And I thought it was that, or Burton just killed her on his own, because, he had thought, she was dangerous to Proctor, so he just wanted to eliminate her before it became even more of a thing. And it turned out to be that, it turned out to be Burton that went after her and took care of her and made it look like it was connected or similar to all these murders in order to throw him off, throw the investigators off and everything. So that was fine too. And, I also liked once Job got out, he sort of got his mojo back and, he just ruined the guy's life, that, is responsible for, putting him in there and, the one they were going after before, the tech guy. And he basically made the guy Job, so everyone, in the country would be looking for him. So that was great too. And then just that final sequence of, once Hood, finds out exactly that it was probably, connected to Proctor, what happened to Rebecca. He, rams the car off the road, and then they have this final fight in this like swamp, kind of river type of area. And I thought that was really cool. One of my favorite fight scenes in the series. Probably not the most brutal, but it was it was up there. And just seeing it happen in the final episode, it sort of had like more of a weight to it than what it might have had previously. We finally see Hood versus Burton. Now some could argue or have argued that Burton should have won that fight, or he only lost because he was injured in the accident and such. Yeah, maybe that was honestly part of it. But how Hood ends up winning the fight, I do think it sort of makes sense because he ends up seeing flashes of Deva just as he's going out, supposedly for good, and Burton's strangling him in the end. But, he's thinking of Deva, and everyone like that, Siobhan. And then it just snaps him back into it and gives him this, willpower to push through and, fight back again and everything. And yeah, some people would argue, that it's just like the way to, have the hero win and everything, somehow summon the strength from nowhere. But I do believe that Hood might have actually had more heart or more of a will to win or live than what Burton was fighting for. I do think Hood had more in him that he would want to be alive for. So that is actually a factor in the fight, I believe. And I thought that was all pretty good. Hood's able to, beat him, and then he actually leaves him to Proctor to kill because Proctor didn't know about it after all. And he understood Burton's motivations as well, to actually, care for Proctor and look out for him. But, he knew he had to kill him, and eventually he does snap Burton's neck after Burton says it was for him, everything he's done. So it's still a really nice, emotional scene, and it sort of showed, like, the weird form of respect that Proctor and Hood had for each other throughout the series. So I really liked how it was, kind of subtle and still touched on again. And I like that it wasn't so simple where Hood just attacked both of them and killed them both either. I like how they did it otherwise. And again, just everything with Hood this season is fantastic. It really felt like a great, character arc for him. And his scene where him and Brock are, locked up by the Satanist, in this room, and Brock just keeps pressing him again about who he actually is. Just such a well-acted scene by both of them. And Antony Starr, just great throughout. Him just talking about how lost he was and telling his whole story, I thought was just great, it's like psychologically and everything. And then when he visits Anna, for the last time that we see, later, I got emotional with that, and I can't do any of the lines justice, but. And then also with Dave, his moments with her he did have in the final season, I thought were really, really nice and touching. And he promised he would find her at the college, and how he encouraged her to try and that she could do it and everything. Then how him promising that he would find her, meet her there, sort of snapping back into it to win that fight. So that was just phenomenal. And I also like everything with Sugar, and just saying he actually left the bar, but he's taking money with him, so I'm sure Sugar will find something. But overall, I thought it was definitely a good final season. Maybe I think they could have done a little bit more. They could have had some other kind of threat going besides like the Satanist thing. But I like Dawson, and everything to do with Hood of the season is so brilliantly written and on point, really well done. I really like the Proctor stuff as always. He ends up being going down Scarface style actually, taking on the cartel after he had to kill their boss and everything after Anna had sabotaged one of their exchanges and everything. But they kind of cut it before he gets shot down, so some people thought Proctor is actually still alive. But I was reading plenty of interviews with like the creator and everything, and he said it was just meant to be kind of a tribute to like those classic action movies or Western shows where we kind of cut off before something big like that happens. It's just like a style choice. I thought that was fine. That was a solid ending for him, I thought. So just great. And then Hood rides off alone. He might meet up with Job at some point, but I just thought it left him with a sense of sort of peace and just sort of just something more than when he entered Banshee in the first episode. And I thought it was just really well handled and not overdone. Just perfect amount of satisfaction, I thought, actually. So overall very good, and I am happy with the ending of the show. I'm going to miss it. I don't think there's going to be anything like that I'll see again. Definitely one of my all-time favorites. So let me know what you guys thought about the final season of Banshee, the final episode specifically. And so follow me on Facebook, Twitter, like, subscribe. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.